Hi, my name is Leah and I'm a senior in high school. This semester, my final semester of English ever in high school, I've been learning a lot about universal themes. Something is universal when ideas, thoughts, emotions, and general themes are relatable and understandable to the recipient. A theme is universal when it can be easily applied to anyone's life or situation. Including universal themes in life lessons in literature will engage the reader more, and the book will have a larger overall impact. Universality is a key aspect to understanding the human experience, and today I'm going to explore a theme that every teenager is struggling with: belonging. The textbook definition of belonging is of a person fit in a specified place or environment. Basically, the idea of fitting in, two words that dominate the high school social climate today. But what we don't realize is that fitting in is a lie, and in the words of Brené Brown, true belonging is the spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you can share your most authentic self with the world and find sacredness in both being a part of something and standing alone in the wilderness. True belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are. We are going to explore this concept of true belonging through The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas and an episode of my favorite reality show ever, Queer Eye. In The Hate U Give, Star is a 16-year-old girl who witnesses the fatal shooting of her oldest guy friend by a cop while sitting in the passenger seat of his car. As the world is trying to find the truth, or rather bend the truth, Star faces police injustice, blatant racism from close friends, and family issues, all while battling the dichotomy of her two worlds, Garden Heights and Williamson Prep. Star's issue with belonging is that she belongs everywhere, but only partially, meaning conversely that she doesn't fully belong anywhere. The first place she kind of belongs is her hometown of Garden Heights. Garden Heights is a predominantly black neighborhood, so much that Star doesn't even mention any other race or ethnicity living there. The town is run by two gangs, the Garden Disciples and the King Lords, who are notorious for selling drugs and having lots of territory disputes that often turn violent. Many characters living in Garden Heights have their own ideas about what it means for their identity, for their lives to be situated in a black community. But Star doesn't really subscribe to that identity because it's so vastly different from her school environment. She goes to school at Williamson Prep, a rich white kid private school in the suburbs where she is one of two black kids in her grade. These are two completely opposite places, so it must be confusing for Star to belong in both. So where does her identity lie? She doesn't feel like she belongs in either community. Let's explore the dissonance between these two communities. Star gets lots of comments about not being black enough and having a warped sense of black culture. Her half-sister, Kenya, has a lot to say about this. The beginning of the book is set at a wild garden party the first weekend of spring break, and it's the first big town party she's been to, and she feels awkward. Kenya, who is there with her, says, "Stop following me and go dance, Star. People already say you think you all that. I'm just saying, you act like you don't know nobody because you go to that school." And when she tries to say that she's been to parties before, Kenya snaps back with, "Little lame white kids' suburb parties don't count." Later in the book, when she introduces her boyfriend to her dad, he responds with, "What the hell, Star? You're dating a white boy?" He was obviously not happy about this white boy being such a big part of her life. This shows that though Star's home and culture is Garden Heights doesn't fully embrace her. This is also apparent in her school environment, where they accept her but don't truly embrace or understand her. Star mentions frequently that she needs to act different at Williamson, that she has a set of rules that she abides by so that they don't see her as the angry black girl. She says that sometimes she feels like a part of them, but other times she doesn't. There was one particular incident when they were all coming back from spring break. She felt comfortable and normal in her environment while they were talking about basketball, until they started complaining about their spring breaks to the Bahamas and Harry Potter world. She was astonished that they were complaining about traveling when her family could barely afford the scholarship to her school, and she immediately felt disconnected. It doesn't help that her quote-unquote best friend, Haley, is a complete and utter racist. When everything with Khalil surfaced, she was very quick to label him as a drug dealer, went so far to say that he had it coming, joined the protest for Khalil's death just to get out of class, as did most of the school, talked her mouth off about how Khalil's cop murderer's life matters too. She unfollowed Star's Tumblr for posting about Emmett Till, and so much more. She definitely has her connections at Williamson, like her other best friend Maya and her boyfriend Chris, but she still feels alienated there. Overall, Star can't win. She's picked on at home for going to a white kid's school, but she's an outcast at her school for being black.
We draw a very similar lack of belonging story in an episode of The Best Show Ever in the Universe, Queer Eye. The show follows the Fab Five, a group of 5 gay men who give other men, and occasionally women, holistic makeovers. It's not just a haircut and a new wardrobe, it's so much more.
The members are Karamo, Tan, Jonathan, Bobby, and Anthony. Karamo is a culture expert, whatever that means. He mostly helps subjects regain confidence and brings them back to their roots. Tan is the fashionista. He shops for the subject and helps them express themselves through their wardrobe. Jonathan is in charge of grooming. Hair, makeup, skin, nails, you name it, he does it. Bobby does interior design, and on the show he will redo the subject's house or segment on their house. The outcome is truly incredible. And saving the best for last, Anthony. He's an expert on food and wine. He educates the subject on ways to eat healthy in ways that are conducive to their lifestyle. And he does it with a handsome, playful smile, and he graces us with his beautiful presence. I may or may not have a slight crush on him, but it's totally fine. I'm fine. It's fine. Anyway, the episode we are going to focus on today is called Black Girl Magic, featuring Jess, a young black lesbian from a rough background who is struggling to find a place of belonging. She was adopted, but has a non-adopted biological sister. Imagine your parents wanting just your sibling and not you. It must be isolating growing up with that rejected sentiment. In addition to that, when she came out as lesbian to her adoptive family at age 16, they kicked her out of the house. The girl was deprived of any sense of belonging. That's a very traumatizing experience. Tan says something very important and impactful upon meeting her about the power of being rejected from your family and how you need to continue to grow.
That's really difficult as a kid to understand that one day my family might turn me down and say, actually, I don't want to love you anymore because of who you are. As a kid, you assume that the people you love will love you unconditionally for the rest of your life. They don't have to love you as you get older. You have to find the strength to find people who love you. You have to fight for it.
And side note, now that I've broken my drawing streak, here's a picture of Anthony. You're welcome. Okay, let's get back on track. On top of this, Jess is struggling to be recognized as a strong black woman. She's also convinced that she can't really fit in anywhere because she's not black enough, but also wasn't white and therefore was outcast from every group at school. Sound familiar? These two characters in different situations with different personalities have a very similar feelings about belonging. That's what makes this theme of belonging so universal. It can look like a bunch of different things, and a lack of belonging can take so many different forms, but the way one describes and feels that lack of belonging is very similar. And most teens who are trying to find themselves are struggling with any sense of belonging. It's very easily understandable and relatable since so many people go through it. We see this universality a lot in Queer Eye when Bobby opens up to Jess about having a very similar story. He was also adopted and kicked out of the house as a teenager for being gay, but he eventually found his way on his own and, through a feeling of self-belonging, was able to find a chosen family and find a partner. Knowing that other people go through the same struggles that you do can be comforting. It makes you feel like you're not alone. Belonging and lack thereof is a universal feeling. By the end of both The Hate You Give and Black Girl Magic, we learn that the most important place to belong is within yourself. If you don't believe that you belong in your heart, how would you expect to belong anywhere? Star and Jess both find self-belonging, and that is more valuable than any group of people dictating whether you belong or don't. Star realized that she belonged when she decided to be honest with herself and stand up for the truth about being the witness and what really happened the night of the murder. She found her sense of belonging in social justice and standing in her truth rather than what other people were trying to make true about her. Jess finds belonging when she lets go of the hold that other people have on her sense of belonging and realizes that she doesn't need to prove herself to anyone but herself. I've had this struggle myself. Feeling like you belong is difficult, especially when people on the outside and society tells you that you don't fit in because of this and that and blah, blah, blah. But it is true that the most important place to belong is within yourself. And as Maya Angelou said, you are only free when you realize you belong no place. You belong every place, no place at all. The price is high. The reward is great.